check that it's going through. Hey, there she is. Hello, good afternoon, I'm Spike, and welcome to my channel and another video of self-taught Japanese in Rosetta Stone 3. My apologies again, as usual. Things always seem to be getting in the way around here. This is a later stream / upload, purely because I had a school trip to go on with my autistic daughter. So that took up most of the morning and this afternoon, and I've not long since been back to be able to do this video. So anyway, with that out of the way, as you can see, we'll be doing the speaking module lesson today. We've got this for this one, and then the repetition from the earlier unit module here. And we'll see how we go with that. Hopefully I'll be able to get both of these done, you know, in under the hour that I usually allocate for these videos. As always, I've got my cheat sheets of the kanji alphabet to English translation for the sounds of how they get sounded out, as well as the notepads with the numbers, and then the tensile forms for masculine, feminine, I, he, she, they, their, his, etc. And a couple of bits down at the bottom, of course, it's an it, and on, in, and under at the moment, so I'm not getting confused because that's currently the current subjects that we're going by, or the current new words that we're going by. As you can probably see, it's pretty hot and sweaty in here, hence why I'm a bit more beetroot coloured today, even with the window open and such like, and a fan going. It's still pretty warm in here. So if you like the content and you found these videos and this stream and these channels, thank you very much. Very much appreciate and respect you for watching, listening, and coming and checking out the content. For those who may like this content, please like, follow, share, and subscribe over at twitch.tv/crunked7up, and over on YouTube, youtube.com/exofficina. That's EXOFFICINA. And you'll be able to see the whole series of videos from start to finish from when I started this back in January, when I started this series, following my casual learning, teaching myself of the Japanese language, how to read it, write it, speak it, etc., and understand it. So, I suppose without further ado, I should probably crack on and actually do this speaking module. It says we've got about 10 minutes for each. Obviously, I have my strictness level set to about 3/4 in this program, so that I can try and nail the pronunciation, the syllabants, the cadence, and the pitch accent that is so subtly controlled when it comes to Japanese, the words, the language, etc. So hopefully it doesn't trap me too much in the deep end today, but we'll give it a go. We'll see what happens, shall we? So let's crack on. I'm going to still attempt to try and count the microphone setup that we usually do at the start. From here onwards, I'm going to try and count it in the Japanese, just to get used to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we go with that. Ichi, ni, san, yon, go. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Japanese. Not necessary, but I'm going to start doing it and continue to do so from now on to try and keep a little bit more on theme and a little bit on topic and get used to counting those numbers. So, without further ado, here we go. Let's see if we get jumped in straight at the deep end.
どこに住んでいますか?
どこに住んでいますか? Brilliant.
どこに住んでいますか?
Asking questions.
私はアパートの215に住んでいます。
私はアパートの215に住んでいます。Thought so. 私 straight off, it wanted to go and then it doesn't want to go.
どこに住んでいますか?
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 Let's try again.
私はアパートの215に住んでいます。
Watashi wa apato no ni ichigo ni sunde imasu. Little bit broken,
私
but
はアパートの215に住んでいます。
we got most of it.
どこに住んでいますか？
Doko ni sunde imasu ka?
どこに住んでいますか？
Nice.
私はモスクワに住んでいます。
Watashi wa Moskwa ni sunde imasu.
私はモスクワに住んでいます。
There we go. Not too shabby. A little bit of a false start. That's just me tripping over my own tongue and not reading correctly what was there. But, you know, we're trying to replicate what's being spoken to us and then to speak it back. So, asking the questions, question form, quite easy. Doko ni sunde imasu ka? The actual answer and response for the fluency aspect, we're getting a little bit quicker here, but that's also leading to a few more mistakes. And also the pickup for the microphone might be good on the headset, but the program is from 2008 to 2010 sort of time period when text to speech and the recognition of still, you know, being is early development. So it's just something to bear in mind in this program. It's not always going to be 100% correct. It's not always going to pick up the nuance and such, and yet it's expecting to look for the nuance and such to determine how correct we are, how fluent we are, etc. So it's just something to be mindful of in the speaking videos that are this portion of the slide work that I'm working through, and then also what I'm encountering when it comes to mistakes or why the program may or may not be picking up things where when you look back at some of the videos that I have done, it's not picking up what I've said, even though I have said what is being asked of me to repeat. So, on to slide 2. Let's see what that's going to bring us.
どこに住んでいますか？
私たちはローマに住んでいます。
Doko ni sunde imasu ka?
どこに住んでいますか？
私たちはモスクワに住んでいます。
Again, nice that it's given us the example first with an answer, and then the third time round, it doesn't give us what it wants us to say. We have to obviously operate this slide correctly by saying the correct thing, which it just gives us the answer thereafter. I think doing this is okay for question forms, but then to come with the answer, and for it to just be one thing on one page, it feels like a waste of a page to me. But that's just personal preference that I've noticed throughout all of these videos that I have made. So, I mean, it's not too bad. Should we let's do a practice again? So,
どこに住んでいますか？
Doko ni sunde imasu ka? And then
私たちはローマに住んでいます。
Watashi tachi wa Roma ni sunde imasu. So, well, I mean, it's again, it's a simple sentence. We are in Rome, or where are you from? Or we are from Rome, or we're from Moscow. This is in this bottom example here. Let's go slide 3.
彼らはフランスの出身です。彼らはフランスの出身です。
Karera wa Furansu no shusin desu.
彼らはフランスの出身です。彼はフランスの出身です。
Kare wa Furansu no shusin desu. Shushin desu.
彼はフランスの出身です。彼女はフランスの出身です。
Kanojo wa Furansu no shushin desu.
彼女はフランスの
My
出
shushin
身で
is
す。
better there.
彼らはアメリカの出身です。
Karera wa America shushin desu. Oh, I missed the
彼
no.
らは
の
アメリカの出
出
身です。彼はアメリカの出身です。
Kare wa America no shushin desu.
彼はアメリカの出身です。彼女はアメリカの出身です。
Kanojo wa America no shushin desu.
彼女はアメリカの出身です。
There we go. That one's a little bit more difficult because it's not giving us the answers straight off the bat. And obviously we're contending with the change in the forms of plural, singular male, singular feminine, and then the same along the bottom with the location change from France to America. Again, more on my pronunciation with this. It's shushindes. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say today. Shushindes is what we needed, not shusindes. But yes, there we go. Let's go slide 4.
私たちは日本の出身です。
私は日本の出身です。
彼は日本の出身です。
日本の出身ですか?
日本の出身ですか?
Because I knew that he was asking the question from previous slides. And it's, although it's not obvious in the picture, because, we're not going to discount what they look like in the picture for sure. However, it's not clear that he is asking the question, where are you from? Or are you from Japan? And again, ka at the end of des or mas, etc., is usually a qualifier to change it to a question. So there's not a hell of a lot of change here as we go through the different forms. Talking about we are from, I am from feminine form, I am from male form, or the polite form in the top right and the impolite form on the bottom left. But then to ask the question, he's posing it to the two others in the slide, or the pictograph. It's not obvious that this is for a question unless you've done the previous work in the program. So again, you could be answering this like the examples above and find that you're incorrect. It's only through finding out you're incorrect that it would then give you the answer of what it's looking for, and then you would learn from the mistake. But the idea of this slide is to take the Nihon no Shushin and then ask desu ka, because he's asking the question, are you from Japan? Which is down to the ethnicity of the two in the picture. Again, this is pre-2010s, this program, when it was developed and designed. So obviously in that time period, despite those kind of morals and ethics being a little bit frowned upon, obviously we weren't as sensitive as a culture or society prior to the most recent events the past 5 years, etc. So this is probably going to be, I don't see it as an issue, but for the purposes of extrapolating the information to teach you something, it's kind of pointing at and picking on the ethnicity of those in the photo in relationship to you learning that he's asking a question about where they are from, without any prompting. My issue is to do with the program's generalized prompting issues throughout the program, not to do with the ethnicity or anything like that. It's that there are no cue prompts in this program as to whether you should be asking a question now, if you're swapping up and learning a new word, etc., etc. So again, just something to be mindful in the videos and in the content that this then becomes for those that do watch this or listen to this in the background. Just highlighting that there are some sensitivities to certain points and issues in here that are not intended to offend, but may be interpreted as such by others watching this content. I'm just making you aware. I'm aware of it. But this program does come from a different time. Slide
ど
5.
この出身ですか?
私はアメリカの出身です。
Doku no shushin desu ka?
どこの出身ですか?
私はエジプトの出身です。
The other thing as well I would say as we've moved on to this slide, yes, we're working through the previous work from this whole module, this whole unit lesson module. We are rinsing and repeating the same information. One thing that does bother me slightly also is that we've already done this learn to ask the question in the correct form here to learn these things. We've just done this twice. We're now doing it for a third time, and we're still just asking the question. I feel that what we've just done, and it's already taken up 5 of the slides in this speaking module. I think that this is where the program should variate and change things up a little bit, or make things a little bit more randomized, or perhaps not be so regimented in teaching us the same thing over and over again at this level, because we are rehashing the same answer and information each time. Makes asking the question a lot easier, not so much in learning the forms in the answers, in providing the answers. Because by the time we get to it, we'll only have a couple of slides towards the end of this section, and then we'll be repeating the first module of speaking from the previous unit section, shall we say. So we're learning, it does the complex stuff first, and then it rehashes the earlier stuff that's the more simple. That variation means that you're going backwards a little bit to rehash stuff you've already learned that allows you to give the answers here. In the speaking section here, I think this slide is a wasted slide because the points were already raised. Let's go slide 6.
私の家は通りの近くにあります。
僕の家は通りから遠くにあります。
椅子はドアの近くにあります。
椅子はドアの遠くにあります。I miss から。
椅子はドアから遠くにあります。
My bad. So
椅子はドアから遠くにあります。
椅子はドアから遠くにあります。Oh, my pronunciation's terrible on that. 椅子はドアから遠くにあります。
椅子はドアから遠くにあります。
I think it's the ドアから。Because it's getting that gap with the subtle pause, but it's the ドアから is a sibilance roll that we wouldn't necessarily experience in English. That's harder to roll the tongue through that particular set of sibilance and cadence there. 椅子はドアから遠くにあります。
椅子はドアから遠くにあります。
That's better. Again, a better slide. It would have been nice if we had done this where we are trying to say all of this, like in the very first slide of the speaking section, if we were repeating all of these. This is the other thing as well, the format change. I'd prefer it to show us these, we repeat these to get these correct, and then it gives us like a question and answer form where we put these into practice. I think that would have been a better setup in this program. Slide 7.
私のお母さんです。名前はアン・スミスです。
私のお母さんです。名前はアン・スミスです。
私のお母さんです。名前はアン・スミスです。私のお父さんです。名前はマイク・スミスです。
私のお父さんです。名前はマイク・スミスです。
私のお父さんです。名前はマイク・スミスです。私のお兄さんです。名前はジョン・スミスです。
私のお兄さんです。名前はジョン・スミスです。
私のお兄さんです。名前はジョン・スミスです。私の名前はサラ・スミスです。
私の名前はサラ・スミスです。
私の名前はサラ・スミスです。
See, so if we were presented with this as the previous slide and we had to work through all of these to get them correct, and then the end one was different. Like, for example, it was blank with the wording, and we had to come up with the answer based on what we'd just done with the previous. I think that would have been a better approach to the previous slide. So again, there are certain format changes that I'd like to have had made to this program in how it presents these particular slides. And it always seems to be particularly with the speaking slides, if memory serves, through the previous videos that I've done. Yeah, I think they could have done better with their approach in this program for sure. But yes, this did a much better setup in learning that this is my mum. Her name is Anne Summers. How ironic. Or at least I assume it's Summer with Sumisu. And this is my dad or father. His name is Mike Summers. I'm going to assume that Sumisu is Summers for the katakana. Watashi no Ani-san desu. This is my brother. His name is John Summers. And then my name is Watashi no namae wa Sarah. It's Sarah Summers. Let's go slide 8.
こんにちは。お名前は
Konnichiwa. O namae wa
こんにちは。お名前は
サラです。
Sada desu.
サラです。
どうぞよろしく。
Dozo yoroshiku.
どうぞよろしく。こんにちは。お名前は
Konnichiwa. O namae wa
こんにちは。お名前は
ジョーンズです。
Jonzu desu.
ジョーンズです。
どうぞよろしく。
Dozo yoroshiku.
どうぞよろしく。
I also like this format in the speaking. Obviously we've got hello, what is your name? And the person saying their name. And then nice to meet you at the end. I like that we are given without text the listening component, and then we have to speak it back as we have heard it. And I also like that when you've got the labeling and the actual sentence there, and then say you've got one missing in the middle or one at the end at the middle where you've got to come up with the answer yourself. I think those particular slides and such, I think they hit on the mark of how to deliver this particular learning curriculum approach, the way that they're presenting this information. But there are others where I think, yeah, they should have done better, that I've already pointed out. Because I feel, from my position as someone who is, obviously videoing my progress, I should be highlighting and pointing these things out as to what I find easier and what I find more difficult, and also which ones I find are just a little bit useless, or, well, not necessarily useless, but to me they feel a little bit pointless because you are just rinse repeating the previous slide twice, for example, when you could have used that particular space to prompt some more learning, or another methods, or another way to present the same information, but in a way that makes you think a little bit different to give the answer to then move on. Otherwise, you've missed that one slide's worth of, or that one page's worth of learning experience that could have been approached slightly differently. So they're few and far between in Rosetta Stone. Do not get me wrong. I'm not going to completely ban the program or its age for sure, because it is still useful and what have you. But I'm just making you aware, for those who watch the videos, who are listening to the videos in the background, whatever, just to take away that there are some things where in the rinse and repeat of this program, you will find, probably like me, that there are some points you're like, why has this program done this? What a waste of time. What a waste of my time. I could have done something a bit more productive. In that one section. It might just be that one slide. It might just be that one page. It's that one section. Again, it's not without its flaws, but it is what it is. It needs pointing out because, again, if you're going to rinse and repeat this by taking the video, watching it, then taking it back to repeat, I'm going to point out the bits I think that maybe this might not be worth repeating for you. If you're taking that section back, so there are a couple of sections that I think I've pointed out in previous videos, and I'm pointing out here in this one, where there's the odd slide or two that I think you can afford to miss them. But until you've encountered them or watched me encounter them to point this out, you won't know that it's potentially one that you don't need. I could be wrong. Everyone learns in different ways. Everyone takes information in their own personal manner. It might be useful to you. For me, again, there are a couple where I think that might actually be a little bit useless for my particular needs and information dissemination for learning. Let's go slide 9, because that was a pretty good
お
one.
名前は
Yes.
マイク・スミスです。
Yep.
どうぞよろしく。
お名前は Yep.
お名前は
ジョーンズです。
どうぞよろしく。どうぞよろしく。
どうぞよろしく。
Which I've said twice now. Come on. Don't be a pain in the bum.
お名前は
マイク・スミスです。
どうぞよろしく。
お名前は
お名前は
ジョーン
wasn't
ズで
subtle
す。
enough. どうぞよろしく。That was
ど
better.
うぞよろしく。
So yeah, my お名前は
お名前は
お名前は I elongated the amaya wa, and yeah, I elongate. That would have been probably taken totally different in actual Japan. Because my subtle control on the cadence here at the end on the onamae wa, it's too subtle on the first instance before having to repeat myself from the dozo yoroshiku markup, and then I over elongated it. Onamae wa, like so. You probably heard when it is
お名前は
onamae wa, it's softer. Onamae wa Jonzu desu and dozo yoroshiku. That sounds quite Russian in that instance, but it is what it is. Let's go slide 10 because we've got a good mark for that one.
さようなら。
Sayonara.
さようなら。
さようなら。
Sayonara.
さような
You
ら。
get two goodbyes at the end on slide 10. Well, that makes me wonder what slide 11 is going to be, because this is usually slide 11. What have we got here?
こんにちは。
Okay.
こんにちは。お名前は
ボビー・ジョーンズです。
どうぞよろしく。
Sayonara.
さようなら。
There we go. We would only know that this was, excuse me, we would only know that this one here in the middle at the bottom is blank because we have gone through this slide before in previous sections of this particular module, as you will see in previous videos. To learn this particular conversational run through, now we understand why the sayonara, the goodbye, was done twice beforehand as a prompt, whereas on some of the speaking ones, particularly in Unit 1, we would have the konnichiwa at the start to indicate the start of the lesson, and then the sayonara to indicate that it was the last slide of that particular lesson. It's the last line, which again, it's ended on sayonara here, but the slide prior would have been the end slide. It's that 10 and 11 would have been swapped, but they're not in this instance. So that's the first speaking module. There we go, 29 correct on that. We've had, 3 repetitions, 2 on one slide. That wasn't too shabby. We might be ramping up some of the complexity in some of the words that are being spoken, but not as complicated as I've been expecting to be. Where some of the speaking, I think, in the language basics was actually a little bit more complicated and complex than what Unit 2 has had to offer. Now, I could be wrong on that. I might actually need to go back and rewatch some of my older videos to confirm that. But to me, it feels now that the speaking portions, when you go listening and reading in the speaking portions in the back end of these lesson modules, from the videos that I've done thus far, and from what I can remember that I've done, either I'm getting more confident and slightly better at my Japanese, the understanding, the speaking, and the casual teaching to you guys watching this content, to follow what I've learned, what I've picked up on, what this program's chucking out, etc. I feel that this listening and reading and the speaking modules they feel easier to me with where I'm at now. Now, again, I'm not going to completely pick apart the program. It might be my own inability to recognize just how much I have actually learned, and how much that's actually making these points easier. Or watching the videos back, which I might have to do later on, just to double check that what I'm about to say is true. I feel that those earlier lessons were actually a little bit tougher in the speaking components of those lessons. Now, it might be because I was newer to learning the Japanese language. I didn't have the subtle cadence and syllabic control down. Obviously, I wasn't as used to speaking the language and the different shapes and stuff that your mouth has to make to get the Japanese out. How the grammar and undulations and all the rest of it, the stresses and that of all of their individual kanji sound when they're in congruence with each other, when they're joined together. It might also be that the topics that were a bit more basic are actually a little bit harder to learn, so that when you get into the more interesting, fun stuff, it's a little bit more fluid. It could just be that I've gotten better at the language. I'm not entirely sure. I'm trying to be as humble as I can be about that, because I know obviously I have learned a fair amount, but I'm nowhere near professional. I'm not even close to semi-professional. This is still elementary school Japanese language that we're learning here. This is still quite basic, and we haven't even got to Unit 3, which is about work and school. This is the basic language basics and greetings and introductions. Learning about your house, big, small. Are you close? Are you far away? Some colours, numbers. We're still in the very early semblance of the language we're learning here. But it does feel to me that these listening and speaking modules in Unit 2 have been a fair bit easier than the Unit 1 stuff. I could be wrong, but it just feels like the pressure isn't as on so much to actually get these correct. And even if I do, it kind of want to say it doesn't feel as rewarding as the first. Again, that could be because I've learned more and I'm a little more relaxed and in this mode of learning Japanese now. But
コンピューターはテーブルの上にあります。
コンピューターはテーブルの上にあります。
コンピューターは
feels less of a
テーブル
challenge.
の上にあります。ラジオは椅子の上にあります。
ラジオは椅子の上にあります。
ラジオは椅子の上にあります。猫はテレビの上にいます。
猫はテレビの上にいます。
猫はテレビの上にいます。リンゴはコンピューターの上にあります。
リンゴはコンピューターの上にあります。
リンゴはコンピューターの上にあります。
I needed to pause after the no to say no 上にあります。It didn't pick up the 上. Not too fussed though, because it was a little bit more fluid. These are a lot easier than the previous ones, and that's because we're going back module unit learning lesson section. I'm going to put down my previous comments that I'm a bit more confident in speaking Japanese without tripping up over my own tongue. That's what it might feel like. I've now gotten used to not tripping up over my own tongue when speaking these. That might be what's making it easier for me, alongside the knowledge that I've learned in how to pronounce some of this contextual speak and some of these sentences. But yeah, it's still fulfilling, don't get me wrong. It just doesn't feel as gratifying as the previous stuff in the Unit 1 speaking stuff. That felt like a real challenge and a real achievement. This is still an achievement. We're getting more complicated. It just feels like I'm able to flow a little bit more in these speaking and the listening and reading stuff than I was able to. Again, probably a consequence of actually learning and knowing that, but it's, I suppose, a good indicator that it is working. So let's go slide 2 and see what happens.
コンピューターは車の中にあります。
コンピューターは車の中にあります。I had
コ
to
ン
think
ピ
about
ュー
that.
ターは車の中にあります。鍵は靴の中にあります。
鍵は靴の中にあります。Yeah.
鍵は
I
靴
am
の
hearing
中
it.
にあ
My
り
brain's
ま
taking a
す。
while to process.
猫は帽子の中にいます。
猫は帽子の中にあります。
猫は帽子の中にいます。
Okay, so I'm definitely confident in being able to say it. I'm just not confident in drawing it out of my own head if the text isn't on the screen. I have much easier time reading it to repeat it than when it's not there and having to think of it by myself. That's more of a practice concern, I think, where I'd need to be practicing these phrases over and over and over again to burn them into my brain so that I could just see the picture and then say it. The same as, for example, playing guitar, reading tab, knowing the track. You know, if you know the track inside out, that's most of the muscle memory right there. You know where the structure's going to go, so it's easier to play the notes because you know what chord's coming up. This is the same. I know what the pictures are saying. I know what I should be saying, but my brain's got it in here. It's just struggling to pull at each word in the right order without me having to read it. That's just a practice issue. Let's go slide 3, see what we got.
男の人は車の上にいます。男の人は車の中にいます。猫は家の中にいます。
猫はの上にいます。I missed house.
猫は家の上にいます。
Let's say that again.
猫は家の上にいます。
猫は家の上にI want to say arimasu and it's not. 猫は家の上にいます。猫は家の上にいます。Okay, let's go slide 4.
猫はテーブルの下にいます。
猫はテーブルの下にいます。
猫はテーブルの下にいます。犬はシャツの下にいます。
犬はシャツの下にいます。
犬はシャツの下にいます。男の子たちはベッドの下にいます。
男の子たちはベッドの下にいます。
男の子たちはベッドの下にいます。
Yeah, I tripped over the middle one. 犬はシャツの下にいます。It's becauseの下にいます。It feels too short a sentence. 犬はシャツの下にいます。Slide 5.
猫はテーブルの上にいます。猫はテーブルの下にいます。
私はベッドの上にいます。
私はベッドの下にいます。
私はベッドの下にいます。
There we go. That was an easy one. On the table, under the table. On the bed, under the bed. Let's go slide 6. Again, we've got these slides for prompting so that we can extrapolate what's coming, what here's one. This is where we're going. Here's one. This is where we're going. And you've got to formulate it from seeing this and this. Still feels like a little bit of a wasted opportunity where we could have spoken these ones to get a form, had this one, and then like this one had no text, we'd have to still come up with the correct answer, but we'd still be practicing these phrases and pronunciations and the subtle syllabants control of the language. Rather than just giving us 3 that we're listening to and then 1 that we've got to say, that's 3 opportunities I feel are wasted there. Slide 6.
私はお母さんが大好きです。
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 私は弟が大好きです。
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 僕はお姉さんが大好きです。
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 僕はおじいさんが大好きです。
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 There we go. So this one, not so bad, got easier throughout. It's remembering the wa okasanga. It's that section there. That's the bit that needs to be remembered, I think. That was a little harder to pull out in my head. The watashi, the daisuki desu, the boku, the daisuki desu. Easy enough to follow and take and pull out. But it's the okasan, the ototo, the onisan, and the oji-san. The actual noun change there is the bit that I struggled with in that sentence. Again, just a practice thing, I think.
男の人はラジオを聞いています。
男の人はラジオを聞いています。
男の人はラジオを聞いています。女の子はラジオを聞いています。
女の子はラジオを聞いています。
女の子はラジオを聞いています。両親は子供たちを見ています。
両親は子供たちを見ています。
両親は子供たちを見ています。
見ています。
男の子と女の子は魚を見ています。
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 On this page, that was the better one. Well, I don't know. The radio kitemas on both of these top 2. Because usually I try to separate the radio or kitemas because it separates them here. But in Japanese, they shorten double O's to be attached to the last syllabants of the previous word, so it doesn't necessarily separate to then become okiteimasu or omiteimasu, etc. So it's just something to watch out for. If you've got a double O here, it's usually not separated, and they generally tend to elongate the first O to include the second O, which then determines how the next word in your imasu is said. Just to be aware of, but we've seen that in previous videos when I've got things wrong and had to rinse and repeat. Anyway, slide 8, let's go.
男の人は立っています。
Yep.
男の子は座っています。
Yep.
女の人は立っています。
女の子は座っています。
女の子は座っています。
Let's just practice these.
男の人は立っています。男の子は座っています。女の人は立っています。
The one that we got.
女の子は座っています。
Beautiful. Let's go to slide 9. That was a pretty good page.
妹さんですか
Imoto san desu ka?
妹さんです
Is that
か
your sister?
はい、私の妹です。
Hai, watashi no imoto desu. Yes, this is
は
my
い、
sister.
私の妹です。
Fantastic.
これはあなたのボールですか？
Kore wa anata no boru desu ka? Ooh.
これはあなたのボールですか？
はい、
Didn't recognize desu
私
ka?
のボールです。
Hai, watashi no boru desu.
はい、私のボールです。
Fantastic. Again, not the best of slides, particularly this one. Let's go through it again.
妹さんですか
Hai,
私の妹です。
こ
Kore
れ
wa
はあなた
anata
の
no
ボール
boru
です
desu
か？
ka? That one's the harder one. Anata no boru desu ka? That's the bit that's hard. The wa anata na. Kore wa anata no boru desu ka?
これはあなたのボールですか？
Better.
これはあなたのボールですか？
Better.
これはあなたのボールですか？
Best.
はい、
Watashi no
ボール
boru
で
desu.
す。
There we go. Yeah, that one's a little bit of a mouthful there because it's the kore wa anata. Because again, with the way that we pronounce an, and then when an is followed by a, e, I, another vowel, the way that we sound words, we're not expecting the cadence to drop or rise unexpectedly for the following consonant, for the word that we have. But obviously, this isn't an English word. So then the reading to speaking translation that happens inside the brain wants me to say how I would say it in English, and that's not the case because it's Japanese. So I'm tripping up over the pronunciation of it because I'm trying to force my tongue and throat to do something that's against the norm. Again, that's a practical, having to practice thing, which is what makes this particular sentence a little bit harder, particularly when you've got so many vowels to start with, or just throughout the whole of the language. Kore wa anata. See, I'm still trying to say anata, and it's not. Kore wa anata no boru desu ka? There we go. That's better. Again, it's a confidence issue. It's the memory recall function for the actual words to remember how it's pronounced, and then it's the actual pronunciation through just practice that's causing me to trip over little instances like this. But that's part and parcel of the learning curve. That's where we're at. Let's go to slide 10.
これはあなたの本ですか
はい、私の本です。
これはあなたの帽子ですか？
これはあなたの帽子ですか？
いいえ、私の帽子ではありません。
So let's go through this.
これはあなたの本ですか
はい、私の本です。
こ
これはあなたの帽子ですか？いいえ、私の帽子ではありません。So, we have
これはあなたの本ですか
これはあなたの本ですか？
はい、私の本です。
はい、私の本です。The one that I thought I'd trip over and I didn't.
これはあなたの帽子ですか？
That's actually quite easy to repeat. これはあなたの帽子ですか？
いいえ、私の帽子ではありません。
いいえ、私の帽子ではありません。See, it's just a change from hats to ではありません. I do not want.
いいえ、
私の帽子ではありません. Because in isolation, it's harder to not follow along when you've got the prompt going in your head. Or it is for me anyway. Might be an OCD thing as well. I don't know. I'm challenging myself. That's what I'm teaching myself this language rather than having an actual teacher. Just doing it all through this program. And the
私の
grind.
本はどこですか？私の本はどこですか？
私はの本はですか? Oh, Terrible. I need to pay attention to that.
私の本はどこですか？
Watashi wa hon no doko desu ka? Got them the wrong way around.
私の本はどこですか？
本は椅子の上にあります。
本は椅子の上にいます。
本は椅子の上にあります。
あります。
私のカップはどこですか？
私のカップはどこですか？ Better?
私のカップはどこですか？
カップは流しにあります。
カップは流しのあります。No. Fuck's sake. Proper mistake there. I lost it. There's too much stuff going on outside my window. I'm using that as my excuse for distraction.
私の本はどこですか？
私の本はどこですか？ Better.
私の本はどこですか？
本は椅子の上にあります。
本は椅子の上にあります。Better
本
if a
は
little
椅子の
broken.
上にあります。
私のカップはどこですか？
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 Yep.
カップは流しにあります。
カップは流しにあります。カップは流しにあります。
カップは流しにあります。
Took too long. That's what that was. That's going to give me a mark down.
靴はどこですか？
I didn't. Oh my god. Let's go back. Go forward.
靴はどこですか？靴はベッドの下にあります。
新聞はどこですか？
新聞はどこですか？新聞はベッドの上にあります。
Again, we know these pictures from previous work. They're repeating the slides. They're giving us the chance to talk and to pose a question we would answer already. I genuinely think they should be getting us to speak these to learn the pronunciation and the subtleties of the language, such as
靴はどこですか？
kutsu, kutsu. It's like a half a sneeze, but it's not. It's the it's that kutsu, because tsu, 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 tsu. You got to force push your tongue, half force push your tongue to the teeth to make the but it's as you say the S, which is like when you're hissing, your tongue is pressed against the back of your teeth and you're sucking air in down the sides of your canines along the top of your teeth, along the top of your tongue behind your teeth, so that when you feel the mechanics of it, we don't use that a lot in our language. So trying to say kutsu, kutsu, that push, roll, and suck through the canine teeth for the that's a difficult mechanic to get when you're first learning this language. Obviously, I've encountered it enough now to be able to accurately represent the mechanic of learning and practicing how to say that kind of thing. Because otherwise people just go kutsu.
靴はどこ
And
で
it's
す
not.
か？
You've got to push, and as soon as you push, you draw it back. You truncate it and you pull it back. And then you've got to which is the T, and then pull back su. That again, kind of like a bit of beatboxing, if for those who are interested in that kind of format of musicality. It's the same as if you're trying to represent a hi-hat, but with that so you've actually got a sound coming out of it. It represents the kanji. So kutsu wa doko desu ka? They should be getting us to say these things so that we are actually pronouncing these mechanics of producing these sounds, and naturally then the actual translation into Japanese of what this actually means, which kutsu is shoe. Kutsu wa doko desu ka? 靴はベッドの下にあります. And it's the same with like arimas. Having to flatten the S at the end of arimas or imas, so that you're not just saying imas, because having a round S, that arimas, doesn't necessitate the subtlety of the pitch accent in Japanese to say the arimas. It's got to have that lift at the end of that to represent the U that comes after it, so that it actually sounds the correct kanji for what's being spoken, or the hiragana or the katakana, for example. Otherwise, that subtle pitch accent control, that sibilance control gets lost, and you, to a native speaker, you'd be saying something completely different. So again, it's something I think that in this they are missing a little bit, and there are some things that could have been better approached, better represented when coming to these kinds of slides for repetition. Anyway, that's enough of my 2 cents on that matter, and the couple of slides here and there in the speaking section of this module that I think are not troublesome or problematic, just needs to make a note of that perhaps maybe it's not ideal, it's not optimum, and there's a couple of things they could have tweaked that you might want to tweak in those particular places, or in a couple of instances on previous videos, and in this video in particular, there's like one slide that you could probably just ignore if you are taking this video, watching it and going, yeah, I'm learning along, I'm learning as I go, I'm watching this for the interest and to learn a bit, and then I'm going to repeat this section and rewind. Those sections that I'm mentioning are probably the bits where you could do without the rewind, just to keep you informed on my personal opinion with where I'm finding these slight issues, should we say. Anyway, that's the speaking section done. That's this module pretty much done. I will try and get the review out ASAP. I know it's the start of the week. I do want to start the core lesson 4. I was supposed to start that today, but obviously I had the school trip with my daughter earlier today when this video goes out. So that's why it's a little bit later than planned, but we are relatively on course to get this going and to start smashing this last section of this module, Unit 2, Greetings and Introductions, go from core lesson 4 onwards and hit that milestone, lesson 5, to try and get ourselves into Unit 3. So that will be 2 units down in the space of, 3 to 4 months, with the format that I've done with a month and a bit break that's been explained as and when it sort of happened. In the playlist, this is video number 47. So there are 47 videos of me working my way through the language basics, doing a couple of rinse and repeats here and there as I figured out the format and how I wanted to present the content. And then obviously into the Unit 2 stuff as we've gradually gone and got forward. Now I'm hoping to keep the technical side, the issues that I've got there, down to a minimum. This program does have issues with its databasing that can slow me down. Please just appreciate that sometimes there might be a day or two off where that may happen. Also, obviously, I have my own mental health to consider. I do have diagnosed conditions, so there might be days where I may not be able to work and get this content out. So just bear with me on those days. You will always get a soft explanation and a quick apology at the start of any video or at the end of a video, like now. And there we have it. So I'll get the review out video. Just keep posted to have that one out. It won't take too long. Again, I will live stream first, and then I'll export the video to YouTube. So both places have the same information output, so it doesn't matter which platform you go to get it. The only issue is with Twitch, obviously it only stays up for 7 days. YouTube is where the permanent home of these videos reside. On that note, if you would like to follow, share and subscribe to both my channels, twitch.tv/crunk7up and youtube.com/xofficina, you go to one, you'll find the other. They're both linked. Please follow, like, share and subscribe. Comment down below on any of the videos if you feel necessary. Constructive feedback, constructive criticism, tips, tricks, ideas, advice. all welcome. I very much like to hear your thoughts on matters, any suggestions, you name it, bring it up. And of course, if you'd like to PM or DM me, please feel free to message me if you've got my details on the channels. If not, head over to Discord, join on my Discord, and hit me up on there. That's it for today from me. I will try and get this review out as soon as I can. Much love and respect to anyone who does find this content either in just random searching in your feed, wherever you're digesting it. I appreciate you. I love you very much and respect you all for following the channel. Please, like I say, share it out to anyone who you might think has an interest in this or wants to learn Japanese, doesn't have the funds to do so, has a low budget, or just wants to get into learning Japanese casually, as I have. I just want to show through my free content, you know, I do this all for free, it's just for the love of doing it, and to showcase my own, you know, casual interests and learning style, etc. To just, you know, if you're getting something out of it like I am in documenting this process of learning Japanese, then here you go. Here's some free materials direct from a program that's designed to do so. I hope you get from it what I'm getting from it, and you can see I'm getting from it in my understanding and appreciation of learning this lovely language. That's all from me. As always, take care, stay safe, keep sane, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.